What's going on, everybody? My profound apologies. This is a new record that we are not at all proud of. It's called being wildly late. Some technical issues getting things established here with being able to push out our show across all our social media platforms. I am producing the show again today. I believe this is my fourth time doing so. We had a little technical glitch hooking up with our producer here. So here I am. Now, here's the good news. As you know, if you've joined us in the past for any of those shows, here's what we can do. Excuse me. I can actually do this. Yeah! I can put your comments up on the screen today because I'm the guy pushing the buttons. There's our man, Dan Schwartz, chiming in saying good morning. Of course, I'm not showing up with the weather girl. There's no weather report today. There will be a weather report tomorrow. You know why? Because I promised you a damn weather girl this week. And you know what? We're going to have a weather girl this week. Now, I will say I have done my due diligence and I have booked a weather girl. And then said weather girl flaked on us. That's what's happened on two different occasions with two different ladies. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that doesn't happen for tomorrow. That's right. I don't care what I have to do. There's going to be a lady, and she's going to be lovely, and she's going to be reading the weather to you tomorrow to let you know what the weekend forecast is going to look like. So that's going to happen. You know what we're going to get into today? We're going to get into some Alex Singleton, Eagles linebacker, Eagles leading tackler. He will join the show coming up in a little bit. And guess what he does? He joins the anti Nick Sirianni conversation. So he's on board with Nick Sirianni, go figure, and he lets us in on a couple other veterans behind the scenes that are like, where are all these reports coming from that all of a sudden we don't like Nick Sirianni, that we don't think he could lead this team? The Michael Robinson reports that came out over the last couple of days. You know what Alex Singleton says? He says hogwash. And hogwash and poppycock is what he says. So we'll hear from Alex Singleton coming up in a little bit on this show. We will get to Adam Schefter's comments from yesterday. He was on the Chris Collinsworth podcast just yesterday where he was talking about how he does not think Deshaun Watson will be anywhere else. He'll be anywhere else other than the Houston Texans. So we'll get into those comments from him yesterday. And there's a whole slew of teams here. 5 of them, as a matter of fact, that David Murphy from Inquirer.com examined to see where Ben Simmons would end up, the most likely landing spots for Ben Simmons in the upcoming season. And we'll be running through all this stuff like we will through a normal show. I'm not going to leave here at 7 o'clock. No. We promised you a damn hour worth of sports conversation. Guess what we're going to have? We're going to have an hour of sports conversation, and I'll be here with you every step of the way. Let's start it off with this news, this Eagles news that's out there. You have Adam Schefter going on 2 different outlets. One was Chris Collinsworth. The other was the 97.5 The Fanatic. And he goes out there and he says that the Eagles have the most capital in terms of the best trade offer they could make for Deshaun Watson. They're going to wait for everything to settle, and then things are going to come back. Interesting. And then he goes on the Chris Collinsworth podcast, and he says that Deshaun Watson has played his last game with the Texans. You add all that up, and what you could probably also throw into the recipe there, put into the pot to stir it up a little bit. What you could also do is this. You could also look at the fact that the Eagles have not said Jalen Hurts is their starter. Now, you might say this is a technicality. Why does that matter? Who cares? Well, it matters because they never want to get caught in a lie. No one ever wants to get caught in a lie. And even though I think it's childish and quite frankly sheepish, because as I've said this entire time, just use the Doug Peterson method and throw in the words right now. Right now, Jalen Hurts is our starter. That could all change. Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt, and then all of a sudden you have Sam Bradford traded and he's in Minnesota. So there's all the things you can look at there. But when it comes to this particular deal for Deshaun Watson, I believe the Eagles this entire time have been waiting in the weeds to see how everything shakes out with his legal troubles that are going on right now. And they're going to proceed once the hammer comes down from the NFL. They're going to see how many games he's suspended, if any. They're basically just going to wait and see how it winds up. And then from that point on, they're going to say, we have potentially 3 first-round picks next year. Doesn't take a genius to figure this out, that they have the best offer to make here. They have 3 first-round picks, most likely. And they could also trade Jalen Hurts if they wanted to. And the next thing you know, you have Joe Flacco, who's been here throughout the entire offseason as a backup quarterback that might have to start a couple of games, waiting for Deshaun Watson to come off his suspension or waiting for Deshaun Watson to learn what the offense is and go through installs and all that stuff. That's where you're going to have to really learn who your next starting quarterback is in the first couple of weeks of training camp, when all this shakes out over the next month, really, when it comes to Deshaun Watson and his legal issues going on there in Houston. So that's what I think the Eagles are doing right now. That's the number one reason why I don't think they've come out and just said, oh, Jalen Hurts is our starting quarterback. Because I think they believe that they can do better. And I believe one of the reasons they didn't draft a quarterback, other than obviously having a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts, is that they know that something was going to happen. And they have known that something is going to happen with Deshaun Watson, most likely playing his last game in Houston. So when I see all these reports coming out regarding that, I think to myself, Eagles are just in the weeds right now. They're like a lion waiting to pounce on who the next guy could be. And let's say it doesn't work out. Let's say they can't get a deal done. Well, then guess what you do? You proceed with the plan that you've had this entire time anyway, which is, all right, Jalen Hurts, have at it. Let's see what you got for a one-year audition. Let's see what you got going on there, young fella. Let's see how you sling it. And then if he even plays just mediocre and shows some promise, but the team doesn't look all that great, you can still trade him, and you still have 3 first-round draft picks to deal at next year's draft so you can move up and get whoever you would want at the quarterback position. It's just that simple. Isn't football fun? I can't wait till they actually start playing games and we can have some more fun with all of this. Let me just address some of the issues coming right out of the gate. Mike Sealski has got nothing on why our computers weren't up and running for today. And no, Kevin, I appreciate this. Here you are. I appreciate this, but I am not at all a tech master. Oh, no. In computer class in school, I was just playing Oregon Trail the entire time. Well, they were talking about 00011111000001111. I was hunting for food and then dying of dysentery, as we all do in that game. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me here and hanging with the show. And no. Luigi, right out of the gate from the top rope. You promised an hour. You also promised a damn weather girl. You're damn right I did. 30-minute show coming, Luigi. Ye of little faith. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to controlling things that I can do physically, it's done. When it comes to depending on other people, sometimes not so much. And like I said, I've had 2 weather girls, and they've said, I'd love to do it. Yeah, I'll get that to you tonight for tomorrow morning. Nothing. Just nothing. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Next order of business here on the docket for today's show. Aside from the Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson stuff that we'll get into a little bit more in our morning rush segment, we have some Ben Simmons conversation to get into here. And I have in front of me David Murphy does a great job, a columnist for Inquirer.com, on the 5 potential landing spots for Ben Simmons. I just want to run through them real quick. I hate doing lists, but I feel like this is one that's worth pointing out here. They go to the Cavaliers, the Kings, they go to the Timberwolves, the Pacers, and the Raptors. Notice Dame Lillard not on this list. The Portland Trailblazers not on this list, which I find interesting because at least it's outside the box. There may be some names that we haven't heard of yet. The Cavaliers, the deal that he has out here for Ben Simmons would be Darius Garland and Larry Nance Jr. for Ben Simmons. Notice the name that's not on there in Colin Sexton, which is the name most people would jump out. You have a guy in Colin Sexton that's averaging about 24, 25 points per game this past season versus a guy like Darius Garland, who averaged around 17 points per game. Darius Garland, obviously, about 3 years younger than Colin Sexton, but still a hooper, still a slasher, still a guy that can shoot from the outside, perhaps a little bit better from the outside. He can bring a lot to the 76ers offense. I'd love to see it, but still, it's a conversation. Tell me if you're going to notice a theme here. Next, the Sacramento Kings. The number one name on that list, De'Aaron Fox. Interested. A conversation. Next name on that list, Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio, Malik Beasley, and Jaden McDaniels for Ben Simmons. Nah, no thanks. Moving on. Pacers, Malcolm Brogdon. Now, you might know Malcolm Brogdon because he's a hell of an NBA player, no doubt. But you also might know Malcolm Brogdon because he stole Dario Saric's Rookie of the Year award. He has developed himself into one hell of a basketball player. We were actually talking about him the other day with Broads when he was on the show. And Broads pointed out that he would be on board with that deal. I'm having the conversation, and I like Malcolm Brogdon. Away from that Dario Saric stuff, I like Malcolm Brogdon. He's turned himself into a 20 points per game scorer. He's turned himself into a decent three-point shooter. He's turned himself into a pretty good overall scorer in the game of basketball. So I'm on board with having the conversation with Malcolm Brogdon. The only reason I would shy away from it is the same stuff that I talked about on Monday with Broads, which is this. Not a slasher, not that great of a shot creator. He is a set shooter type of deal, and he reminds me way too much of Tobias Harris. And as I have said, I am not trading Ben Simmons for another Tobias Harris. I am trading Ben Simmons for a guy that can consistently create his own shot. I'm trading Ben Simmons for a guard that can come in here and provide instant offense. I'm trading Ben Simmons for that guy I can have confidence in for that last-second shot. Because even with Joel Embiid, much as I love the guy, I'd much rather see that ball in the hands of a guard who can create his own shot and knock it down when the game's on the line. When I look at Joel Embiid, hey, in the final minute of the game, I want the ball in his hands as much as possible. But when it comes to that last-second shot, I want that to be in the hands of a guard that can create his own shot. The Sixers have not really had that guy in quite some time. As much as I like Seth Curry, and we talked about him yesterday, I don't have confidence in him to really create his own shot as many times as you can with a guy like, obviously, Dame Lillard. And I know that's the Fisher-Wish scenario, but I'm comparing it to Connor Brogdon is what I'm doing. Malcolm Brogdon, excuse me. So that's what I'm looking at right now as far as that deal would go with the Pacers. And then the next one it involves a sign and trade with Kyle Lowry and the Toronto Raptors. And that's pretty much a straight-up deal, as David Murphy points out in his column. Raptors, Pacers, Timberwolves, Kings, and, of course, the Cavaliers. All these deals, with the exception of who did I have on here? The Timberwolves. All these deals are conversations. They're not deals that I think are slam dunks. And the one deal, as it comes with the Timberwolves, I'm just like, thanks, but no thanks. See you later. I got no interest. And it all comes down to the fact that I think that the Sixers are in a scenario, and Daryl Morey will get that tunnel vision, where he says, yeah, okay, well, if I can get Dame Lillard, I'm getting Dame Lillard. If I can't get Dame Lillard, then Ben Simmons isn't going anywhere. And you can look at the situation that played out with James Harden and that deal. They tried to unload him. James Harden basically and the Rockets ended up saying thanks, but no thanks, and going with the deal that the Nets put on the table. It was laser focused. It wasn't like, okay, James Harden's down. Now let's go get Zach LaVine or somebody. That was the guy that was targeted. There was no backup plan. You know why? Because there was no plan on the same level. That's when you get into a backup plan, you start thinking of a lot more along the lines of, well, let's make a deal just to make a deal. I think, as we talked about with Allah Abdul Nabi yesterday, that this is salvageable if Ben Simmons is willing to put in the work. And really, the future of the franchise now is not all on Joel Embiid's knees or his load management or whatever it might be. The future of the 76ers franchise right now still lies in the work that Ben Simmons is willing to do in the offseason. And I told you many times, I'm not going to look at the videos. Well, I'm going to look at the videos. I'm just not going to care about the videos. I'm not going to say, oh, well, there we go. The Ben Simmons problem solved because here he is, shooting in a pickup game or in practice, whatever. Or here he is installing a basketball hoop at the $17.5 million mansion that he bought outside Los Angeles. I'm not going to be convinced of anything until I see it in an NBA game during the regular season with consistency. That's right. He could come out the first game of the season, knock down a three, and I'll be like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens over the next 10 games. Let's see what happens over the next 20 games after that. All right, let's see what happens over the next 82 games. But I'm not going to be convinced until I see it on a very consistent basis. And guess what? I'm not even really going to be convinced until I see it in the postseason. So the future of the NBA, the future of the Sixers franchise right now solely depends on Ben Simmons and how hard he's willing to work. Until he's traded, it all depends on how hard he's willing to work, to put in the work, to improve his game and take it to the next level. Because here's what flies out the window throughout this, leading up to a trade or next season. Here's what flies out the window. Any defense of Ben Simmons being a great defender, being a great facilitator, a three-time All-Star, whatever argument you want to bring up, arguments that I've brought up to defend Ben Simmons' value to this team. All of it goes out the window because all that matters is how he plays in the playoffs. If he shows signs of making that improvement like he did in February, hell, it's 15 games, whatever, how many games he played in February, 11 games, as a matter of fact, in February, where he was shooting over 70% from the free throw line. He was scoring over 20 points per game. That's the guy you can win a championship with. It's not going to take much more of an improvement from Ben other than a willingness to do so, because I believe he can physically do it. It's all up here for him. If he could get enough confidence in his shot to take his game to the next level, then we're going to be talking about a much different story. Then we're talking about the guy I've talked about many, many times in terms of, I just saw Luigi's comment was still up there. Sorry. That's the guy we can talk about many, many times as being a guy who could be a legit MVP candidate. And that's why I look at every trade scenario and go, yeah, okay, I like that, but is that worth a guy that could be an MVP? Because, God, if he goes somewhere else and it turns around, that will be the ultimate kick in the ass moment. The only saving grace that would be your safety net from all of it is, wouldn't have happened here. He needed to be traded to get to that level of play. And that's what we'll cross our fingers for. That's what at least I'll be hoping for throughout this entire process. I see the comments coming in. Much appreciated for everyone that stuck with us and waited despite our tardiness getting things started. So I do appreciate that, and we'll get to your guys' comments as we always do in our social media check-in, brought to you by our good friends at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. By the way, for anybody, if you're like me, you have no appetite schedule. Does that make sense? I can eat. I can wake up and eat a steak in the morning. I could have a shrimp in the morning. Sushi's in the fridge? Yeah, no problem. Like I don't really care. Like my stomach is a great stomach, thank God. But I'm going to show you some Steak and Maine footage and that you're not going to want to miss. You might just get in your car right now and just drive down and wait for Steak and Maine to open up later today when you see how good this food looks. It's incredible. We'll get to that in a little bit later. What else do I want to get into this morning? We got the Phillies getting back in action tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I'm optimistic about the second half of the season. Here's what happens. And it seems to happen every single year now with the Phillies. And it's the old Godfather 3 line. The only good thing that came out of Godfather 3 was this one line from Al Pacino where he says, or Michael Corleone, and he goes, once I thought it was out, they pulled me back in. Like that thing. That's like the greatest part of the movie. And Sofia Coppola's character dying. Anyway, the Phillies, once I think I'm out, they pull me back in. How do they pull me back in? Well, I got pissed off at the All-Star game because Zach Wheeler only pitched 3 pitches. I don't think it'll affect them that much. Cross your fingers. JT Realmuto hits a home run in the All-Star game, which was cool. And then they also go into the All-Star break as one of the hottest teams in baseball, winning 7 of 10 going into the break. They're in second place behind the Mets, 3.5 games out. Yeah, you got me interested. Ever since Rhys Hoskins' comments about only talking about the good stuff, or don't forget about the good stuff when you're writing about the bad stuff, I know that caught a lot of people's attention. It certainly caught my attention, and we talked about it enough on this show. But I think Matt Breen really highlighted something for me when he was on the show last week, when he said that he's the guy, Rhys Hoskins is the guy that isn't just talking to the media when he's talking to the media. He's talking to his fellow players. He's talking to his teammates, because the post-game press conferences are on in the locker room, in the clubhouse after the game. And players are looking up, and players are paying attention to what some other players are saying or what Joe Girardi is saying. And maybe, that just shook him up enough to hear that from a team leader like Rhys Hoskins, and that's what he is for this team, that he has that much confidence in this team, or is at least willing to take it on the chin for these other guys to get some of the negative publicity, negative attention off of them and put onto him. And ever since then, you've seen literally one of the hottest teams in baseball over the last 10 games. And I just want to see what happens in the second half of the season. I want to see them compete for that wild card at the very least, if not push for the division. And that's obviously what you want to see them do. But I want to see what they do at the trade deadline. I think they're actually going to make a move to improve at the trade deadline. I don't know how they're going to do it, but because it's not like they have a lot of capital here. It's not like they have a lot of assets to move on from. But stranger things have happened. I think they'll make moves to improve at the deadline. I know there's a couple of guys out there. Chris Bryant's obviously the name jumps out. We talked about him yesterday. I would love to see it happen. I think Dave Dombrowski is going to go into his first trade deadline, July 30th, and I think he's going to go into that deadline with a mindset of being aggressive. And I think even if the Phillies stay around that 500 mark, like they've pretty much been all season long, I think that'll be enough for Dave Dombrowski to go, all right, let's see what we can bring in here to make us better now. And maybe because a team like the Phillies that doesn't have a lot of assets, maybe the guy that they bring in here is the guy they're going to be watching tomorrow in his workout, and that's Cole Hamels. Yes, I pointed out yesterday how it would get me in the feels if Cole Hamels was donning the red pinstripes again. But let's look at it for a more tangible reason as to why you would bring Cole Hamels into the Philadelphia Phillies again. The more tangible reason is that I believe he could still be a good pitcher in this league. And more importantly, I believe he could be better than what you have at the back end of this rotation. So you bring Cole Hamels in here to be a fourth or fifth starter behind Aaron Nola, who hopefully figures it out in the second half of the season, behind Zach Wheeler, behind Zach Eflin, and you get him in the back end of that rotation. I think you're going to have you're going to have a lot more confidence in days 4 and 5 when it comes to those days. Turn to pitch. Those guys turn to pitch for the Phillies. Tomorrow's the workout for Cole Hamels. I got my fingers crossed. I'd love to see him come back to Philadelphia. And other than just the feels idea, it would be a great thing to see, that back end of the rotation pitch a lot better than what we have seen or what we can become used to down the line here. Let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, do what I do. Go to Steven Singer. When it comes to big purchases, big jewelry purchases, when it comes to the pop into question, trust nobody more than Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, or right there in Philadelphia at 8th and Walnut. You got to check them out. Real jewelry experts are standing by to walk you through everything from Steven Singer Jewelers. All the inventory. Ready for love, diamond engagement rings as well. They just open them right there. What do you like? Okay, we'll size them. See you later. Come back in a minute and we'll get it for you. I told you my story before. My wife told me she wanted me to, hey, we've been dating 7 years. And she said, if we're not engaged by the end of this year, you could hit the bricks, sir. It's kind of how it went. So what did I do? At 11:59 on New Year's Eve, I got down on one knee and I proposed with a beautiful Steven Singer engagement ring. And how did I get that ring? I walked into Steven Singer. I was running to a job I was working. And I said, hey, I got 2 hours. I need to get a ring. Guess what? I walked out in 2 hours with the ring, sized and all. They took great care of me. They'll take great care of you as well. Two of my friends now. I mentioned them before. Two of my friends have picked up their engagement rings at Steven Singer over the last month, and they are beautiful. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, and here's what Steven always promises, the perfect price every single time. So when you go in there, you don't have to worry about negotiating, haggling, anything like that. No, there's no markup. Every single time is set at the perfect price. So you can just go in there and just be comfortable. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, are online at IHateStevenSinger.com for fast and free shipping. That's what you can do. Steven Singer, IHateStevenSinger.com. Today's guest, I'll tell you, I've had the pleasure of talking to this man for the last 3 years, and I have great conversations with him because he's just such an interesting guy. Down to earth, as down to earth can be. Humble guy. His sister, Ashley, is just a beautiful human being. She has Down syndrome, and she is a Special Olympics athlete. He works out with her all the time. He's a Los Angeles type of guy, and he is kind enough to join us today for today's program to help dispel some of the rumors regarding Nick Sirianni as head coach. And before we do that, Michael Robinson is the guy that came out yesterday. I want to go over some of his comments here because we alluded to him yesterday without me rattling them off. But the key thing that he brought up there was that there are veterans in that locker room. There are players, even more general. There are players in that locker room that don't trust Nick Sirianni's ability to lead this team. That's the sticking point for me. So we get into that with Alex Singleton here, and he takes it to another level. This was Lane Johnson trying to defend his head coach on ESPN just the other day.
He's taken a great command of the team early on. I think what I appreciate about him most is he holds everybody accountable. So when we go to practice, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran, a rookie, first day. If you're making mistakes, he'll put you on the board, and not to call you out, but really to kind of get you better. And I think what that shows, if he can do that with veterans, then the younger guys will come along as well. So that's been my impression early on. It's been a lot of fun and really a lot of energy. So, but moving forward, man, we have a lot to prove.
Lane Johnson also came out and said that he's embarrassed by last football season. Alex Singleton kind of echoes that sentiment as well. Without further ado, joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, friend of the show, Alex Singleton. Take a look. Orthopedics guest line, a guest from like the first week of our show's existence, the leading tackler of your Philadelphia Eagles, Alex Singleton, joins us. Alex, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again.
No, hey, it's our pleasure, my friend. It's our pleasure. No, this is interesting. You're a West Coast guy, and you're actually you showed me around a little bit here virtually before I hit record on this interview. You're at the family's compound, the sports compound of the Singleton family. Would you mind showing us around a little bit? What do you got going on there?
Yeah, my dad, he's got the perfect game day set up on the patio. I'll kind of, we got my sister got him a beer, the barrel, the Eagles barrel. We got the whole setup, the 3 fridges, I believe 80, inch, the back, the pool. This is where they watch games in November when they don't come to Philly anymore.
Oh yeah, you guys can have your East Coast winter. We'll be over here in the West Coast. That's great, man. Good for you. What a great supportive family. And obviously your sister is still doing her workouts. I thought when I first joined you here, I thought that you were actually in the middle of one of them workouts and you're going to take a break for a second to talk to me.
Yeah, it's how we do it. Just every day we're just, banging out workouts. But yeah, she's killing it. At this point, she's done like 40, 50 pounds. And, she teaches her own classes now to like her work programs. And it's super cool to see that she can, kind of do this whole thing on her own and kind of just does these workouts for fun now when they used to, almost maybe weren't her favorite part of the day.
That's incredible, man. What a great thing you guys do together there. I want to ask about your workouts, obviously, and your off-season workouts, everything going from a season where all of a sudden this Alex Singleton guy is he's starting for the Eagles. He's leading the team in tackles. He's at pick sixes against the 49ers in primetime games. What has your off-season been like in your first full year as an NFL player?
Yeah, back to the basics. That's why I like to come home. I like to come back just to kind of get away from everything, come to the same place I train every year. So you don't just assume, everything's going to be the same the next year. Obviously, nothing in my career has been the same. So to just continue to build off it and hopefully be able to do more this year.
What's the transition been like for you from one coaching staff to another?
It's been good. I would say, this coaching staff has done a really good job. I would say, we started with virtual meetings, then we were in person for 3 weeks. And, everything I've gotten from every, single coach on the staff has been nothing but, positive in the way they want to go and the way the team's looking. So I'm super excited to get back there in 2 weeks.
I want to talk about your head coach first, then we'll talk about your defensive coordinator. There's some stories out there about Nick Sirianni, about how he hasn't exactly won over everyone in the locker room. When everyone that I've talked to, including Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, came out publicly as well, defending the head coach, saying this is all BS. What are your early impressions of Nick Sirianni before you guys have even had a training camp?
I'm excited. The competitiveness, you can see the drive in the game and the love for the game, and I think that's something. Yeah, definitely no one in our locker room's got anything against it because that's what you want as a player. So it's cool when your head coach kind of embodies that same thing. And I'm like I said, I'm so excited to get back to be there. Just, obviously he's an offensive minded guy, but the way he does get involved with the defense, obviously the defensive staff is from different places, not necessarily where he's always been. And you can tell he understands the defense already. So a guy that puts himself into the game that much, it's awesome to see. And it's exciting to, obviously play for.
Is he pretty much as advertised? As we see him in press conferences, as we see him talk about football, Is he just like that with the guys?
Oh, yeah, he's just like that. I was actually, he texted me this morning and was just like, what's up, dude? How's training? You ready? Let's go. So, he's young enough that he's, still kind of one of the guys. It's not, he's not that Doug was, late 60s, didn't know how to use a phone, but
right.
It's just, you can tell he's kind of we have guys on the team that are around the same age as him, so he's definitely still one of the guys.
Did you see those reports about not necessarily winning guys over in the locker room, questioning whether or not he can lead a team in the regular season, and if so, how would you respond to those?
Yeah, I think the same way. I saw I follow Lane and Kelsey and Fletcher and those guys, and they all were just like, who? Let's hear some names because. I think, as a group, we all are excited to kind of have him lead us. And at the end of the day, I don't think whether you did or didn't like somebody in first impression, I mean, you gotta play some games or at least go through a training camp to be able to even think that. So I'm excited. I mean, I know they're excited. I know everybody top to bottom is just excited to be there with them. So I don't know any negative coming out of it.
All right, good enough for me. As far as Jonathan Gannon goes, your defensive coordinator, how do you see yourself fitting in his defensive scheme?
Man, whatever he wants. I'm telling you, just, from the 3 weeks and the virtual meetings we've had, I'm ready to run through a wall for the guy. I like the defensive scheme that we got and just kind of how we're going to play to our advantages and take away people's disadvantages. I just think, the overall scheme, it's obviously very different than Jim Schwartz. And I'm really excited to kind of, like I've said, get back and just get it rolling. I mean, these 2 weeks, I don't think can go fast enough at this point.
I think I'll paint the fan base here in a accurate light. I think a lot of times as Flyers fans, we might yell shoot one too many times on a power play. I think in football we might yell blitz too many times during a game. And that was something that Jim Schwartz didn't necessarily do a lot of. Can you tell me whether or not we'll see maybe a little bit more of that from a Jonathan Gannon defense?
The reason we don't is because of the guys we have up front. With the 4 guys that we can send, 5 guys sometimes, that's a special D line. I mean, I think we were still second in sacks last year from a team that was always playing from behind. And that's really hard to do. I mean, so what they do is already impressive as it is. So if you're already that high in sacks in the league, I know a lot of times some people think, if you're just blitzing more people, you're going to make more plays. But, our D line does a lot of that. And that's the reason you don't have, teams that blitz all the time have to blitz all the time. And so with our D line, I believe, if you can always have 7, 8 in coverage and only rush 3 or 4 and get to the quarterback, I mean, you're just helping your team, not really hurting your team.
Understood. When it comes to you getting back to Philly, you getting in workouts and everything here in Philadelphia, we're 2 weeks away from people reporting here. When are you coming back to town?
Man, I'm coming back this weekend. I think that's, July 18th. I just, I got to get back in the routine, got to get back in that humidity. It's not like, sunny 75 California. So
you're in your backyard oasis over there.
Yeah, I got to leave it. You got to not get uncomfortable. I'm very comfortable in Philly now, but, just change it up a little bit.
I always like to ask people the fun questions here as far as what they haven't done in Philly yet, especially someone that's only been around a few years now. Was there anything still on your Philly bucket list that you'd like to do?
Man, a Philly bucket list.
I know we've talked about the penitentiary. We've talked about the art museum, all that stuff.
Been there.
You're an old pro already. Now you just need to go to the Franklin Institute on a field trip, and then you'll be true Philly through and through.
No, I try to do as much Philly as I can. I love Philly. I mean, I've embraced the city. I love the people, love the fans. So to be out and do as much as I can, I would say go to more games. I hope I catch a couple of Phillies games here just before the season, to, be part of that. I just love sports, obviously. So the more of that, the better.
Now, we've got a little issue going on here recently in Philly, and I'm trying to ask every athlete this question. Danny Green of the Sixers came out and said that we need to be more supportive of a guy like Ben Simmons. Need more loyalty. We need more, to be more supportive was the word he used. So what do you think fans owe an athlete, and what do athletes or a team owe the fan base?
Man, that's a tough question with the city of Philadelphia, because I've told people from the day I got to Philly, it is the most diehard fan base from top to bottom. Everybody in that city knows the roster. I remember my first week, I went to a FedEx and some guy was like, "I know who you are." And I was like, "There's no way you know who I am, but all right." And he was like, "No, you're good. Alex Singleton, I got you. I'll ship your stuff." And I was like, "That's crazy." I've been to a lot of different places. Obviously, no one knows the 90th guy on the roster going into training camp. So to be able to play in a city like Philadelphia, I mean, you got to play well, because it's ruthless now. I think, the not that they threw snowballs at Santa, but it happened. And it's a city though, but they want to be great. I think it's kind of that blue collar. There's not a lot of other things going on all the time. Sports are how the city is identified. And I think it's something that the city embraces too. And as players, I mean, I feel like we embrace it. I know last year as a team, we were kind of embarrassed to do that to the city. So, from that perspective, though, I probably do believe, obviously don't run anybody out of the city, you know, because I don't think anybody's going out there trying to lose on purpose. So, you know, if the city feels that kind of hurts as a player, because I can promise you there isn't a single guy on a court, on the ice, on any field that's going out there to just blow it, and especially in the city of Philadelphia, because you know the repercussions of that. And yeah, I think, what do players owe the city? I mean, you really owe it to yourself more to, you know, leave it all out there and do everything you can. And that in turn, you know, obviously goes to the city. And the city, I mean, from Philly, I mean, nothing more. Those are diehard, true fans through and through for all 4 teams. So I would say just keep being Philly, because we need it. I'm excited, and that's why we're excited. The fans are going to be back in the stands, so I'm ready.
I've talked to so many guys that played obviously their whole careers, as most people have, with fans in the stands, and they talk about getting that lift. What is that like to get that kind of lift from a fan base that cares so much?
Man, I don't know if they would have been lifting us last year too much. But man, it is everything. You know, I think when it matters, you know, because you've played in places, and we've played in places that, win or lose, you know, the fans aren't into it. They're just there watching the game. You know, I'm an LA guy. You go to a Dodger game, people show up in the 4th inning and leave by the 7th. You know, you're not really a fan of the sport. You're kind of just a fan of being in that environment for a few hours. And, you know, in Philly, it's obviously it's a whole thing. You know, tailgates are, you know, 200,000 people, and the stadium only holds 70. Like, you know, there's 130 extra thousand people just coming to, you know, just be loud and crazy and, you know, support the team. So it's going to be huge. I'm excited. I'm excited for the practices that we're going to have fans in, the preseason games. You know, I think it's going to matter and make such a big difference. I'm super, super excited for it.
That's awesome. Speaking of atmospheres, I believe you were at a very prestigious fight not too long ago. Were you in the stands for Conor McGregor's ankle snapping in half?
I did make it. It was crazy. I had never, obviously, you know, been to a McGregor fight. I've been to UFC events before. It's pretty crazy, the energy that guy creates. It's pretty special what he's able to do. You know, obviously the outcome, you know, whatever, your ankle breaks, that kind of sucks for anybody. But
sure,
just the way he came out, like it's so cool how he can kind of captivate an entire arena or city. I mean, that city last weekend was, you know, I've been to Vegas so many times. You know, I'm only 4 hours from it my whole life, and nothing buzzed like it was that weekend.
Wow. Are we going to see you walking around the field with a little of that, hopefully this season?
No, sadly, you know, I'm just going to I'll flex a little bit, you know, but
there you go. Take a very prestigious bow. And
yeah, you know, I don't have maybe play a couple more guitar solos out there, but no McGregor. That's him. You can't steal someone's swag, man. You got to make your own.
Very true. Alex Singleton, we can't wait to watch you back on the football field this year. And hopefully, you know, you said you'll do whatever it takes. But as a leading tackler, man, we have a lot of faith in you coming into this upcoming season. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Farzy Show on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. How do you not root for that guy? How do you not root for that guy? I think he really gets Philly. I absolutely I admire him for all the stuff that he's done. I mean, going through being undrafted, obviously, go and play as a defensive player of the year in the Canadian Football League with Calgary, the Stampeders, I believe, and then just busted his butt here in Philadelphia to try to just make it on as a special teams player, proving himself there, getting an opportunity to play linebacker last year for the Eagles as a starter, and then leading the team in tackles. I remember talking to him, the first conversation I remember I ever had with Alex Singleton. I went up to him, and he was like, "Hey, man, you got to get some of the new guys, right?" And it was early; it wasn't even training camp yet. And I was like, "I got you, man. Don't you worry." And I go up to him, and I'm like, I think the question we were asking in the locker room that day was, I think it was Philly bucket list type things. Like, what do you want to do in Philly? What do you know about Philly? You're new here. What do you do about Philly? And he was the first player to say, I want to go to the art museum and the penitentiary. And as you know, as I mentioned that in the interview, and I go, really, you don't, everyone's told me cheesesteak, and really that's about it. Go to a sporting event that's not an Eagles game. Like, that was it. Those are the two things. And when he went penitentiary, I was like, this guy's done his homework. And then I said, and so you want to run up the steps? He's like, no, I want to go into the art museum. And I was like, now no one ever says they want to go actually in the art museum. That's crazy. Sure enough. I do recommend for anybody the Armory, even if you're not a big art fan. The Armory is incredible. Just saying. So that guy did his homework on Philadelphia, and I appreciate that. I like that. And how do you not root for him? The guy just wants to work hard and play football, man. He's a good dude, and hope he stays in Philadelphia for a long time. And my thanks again to Alex Singleton joining us there on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. And speaking of Rothman Orthopaedics, let me tell you a little bit about Rothman Orthopaedics. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence in that physician to get you past the pain and be what you were before the pain. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. So how about that? Let me tell you, the moment you've been waiting for. Okay. Steak and Maine, steakandmaine.com. All right, folks, just take a look at this. Anthony Cavada, I tell you all the time, you got to follow him on social media. Just absorb this for a second. Right? Delicious. I could eat all this right now. How good does that look? Yeah. Oiling and lotioning. Yeah, all that I would eat. Could do that right now for breakfast. That's what the man's offering right there. And by the way, that was for a little tribute, for a little family get-together for the people of Charms Candy. They invented the blow pop. I didn't know that. Charms Candy, the inventor of the blow pop, they lost the patriarch of their family, and that was for a little tribute memorial service that Anthony catered for them. Just great people, Kathy Cameron, all the people there that are going through a tough time. Our man Tony Cavada came to the rescue with some incredible food. So just how great did all that look? And I wanted to make sure we gave that family a shout out. I didn't know. I went to high school with the guy whose family invented the bendy straw. That's all I got. But the blow pop is next level. So that's pretty incredible. How good did all that look? But by the way, if you want to sample all that great food, if you want to enjoy yourself, you want a great meal, Steak and Maine, fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. Folks, you just saw the variety that this man provides. All that with an extensive wine list. He just keeps going. Cavada Cellars wines are phenomenal. I recommend the Pinot Noir. I've had the Cab. The Cab is great as well. But when I have that 2-pound tomahawk steak, you better believe a Pinot was in that glass, my friend. Every day they're open for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Make sure you check out Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland. Voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. Also want to tell you about our friends at FanUp and the FanUp app. Do what I do. Download the FanUp app and get in on all the action. A lot of challenges going around last night with the Suns and the Bucks, so we're going to get to that game in just a second. But when it comes to everything they got going on right there, ladies and gentlemen, check out the FanUp app. Challenge your friends. That's right. Challenge your friends. Talk smack. Upload gifts to make fun of your friends. It's like fantasy sports, playing them alone. Those days are well over. They're gone thanks to the FanUp app. Everything you want to do, one central location. You can fill out your own profile and have fun with that. You can win some real brand prizes, by the way. I always mention the pair of Jordans, the Peloton bike, the mirror workout thing that you work out in front of, and the trainer's like, get it going. And you're like, I don't want to. But anyway, that's what it does. So you can do that. All that available on the FanUp app with great brand prizes. Download the FanUp app and get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate to get you started at the FanUp app. Just be fans. Also, for all breaking news, all stories across all platforms and social media, make sure you're following PHLSportsNation.com. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, a site that is changing the Philadelphia sports fan experience. Thank you to all our sponsors helping us out on the program today. We got our morning rush coming up. We also have our social media check-in coming up. So make sure you stick around for that. So let's jump into our our amazing social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm pushing the buttons today, people. Beep, bop, bop. So I want to make sure I give you this right here. I get to do this fun stuff like, boom, Hannah is laughing. She's right there on the screen for you. Thank you, Hannah. And what were you laughing at? Oh, I think you're laughing at April taking a little what does it say? Cheap shot at us? Oh, I will. No. Let's see here. I struggle on Twitter like the Stross. April, God bless you. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. April, she'll look at Twitter, but she struggles on Twitter like the show struggles to get on the air this morning. Booyah! Thank you very much. All right, let's start it off today. Who do we have here? We had our friend Dan Schwartz checking in, saying good morning to everybody. The weather girl. I'm working on it, ladies and gentlemen. That much I promise. Benny's checking in, saying he blames Sealski. You people, I swear to goodness. Julian, he finds that funny. Julian, we live, and we are live. Thank you, Julian. Farzy, you scared us. Kevin, I'm sorry. So here's what happened. Let me give you some more details here because this, we're all friends here. All right, you guys wake up with me, and I appreciate that, and you guys consume the content later in the day. Our producer and I were trying to get on the same page, technologically speaking. And basically, the Wi-Fi connections weren't syncing up nice. And we pushed the show to our producer. The show pushes it out across our social media platforms so that we can make sure we have the constant sponsors rolling right around this area. This area of the show. And that's what he does. And we couldn't connect, unfortunately, today. So here I am. And that's the way it went down. I was coming up really slow on his computers, so before he could push it out, it would have been like just me moving at a ridiculously low pace or slow pace without the words matching up with my mouth. So there you go. What in the world actually made me get into my Twitter account? I haven't used Twitter in months. April, that's why you had to check Twitter. Gotcha. As you can see, most of our comments come here through the YouTube people, which is appreciated. Luigi, I promise you're going to get a weather girl. That's going to happen. The whole routine is thrown off my day by April, I'm sorry that we were 20 minutes late. That is a ridiculously long time. I do apologize. Call me out. That's fine. Here's my thing. I'm going to tell you guys a behind-the-scenes story about a place I used to work out called WIP Radio. And it's one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned in my life. And it was the guy I worked with for a long time, Angelo Cataldi. And I was maybe a year into the business, maybe 2 years into the business. And I was working with the morning show. And I remember we couldn't connect. Now, in radio, you use something called an ISDN line. When you're doing a Sixers game, if you're doing a Flyers game, if you're producing a game, you connect through an ISDN line, which is basically just a really advanced phone line. And it allows you to have crystal clear connection like you're sitting in studio and all that. So anyway, long story short, we couldn't connect with the Sixers game with Tom McGinnis and Todd McCullough in New York, as a matter of fact. And they literally did. It was a preseason basketball game. Tom McGinnis and Todd McCullough did the preseason game on a phone. And you could literally hear them handing the phone back and forth to one another. So much so that you could hear the phone hitting their wedding rings as they handed it back and forth. So the next morning, we made fun of ourselves. Like, we made fun of the fact that we couldn't connect. WIP Radio and the Sixers game in New York, that we couldn't connect. We made fun of ourselves. And we're laughing about it. We're trying to get Tom McGinnis on the air with us. We're having a big laugh. So I go into our program director at the time, Tom Lee, who is one of the greatest people I've ever worked for. My first program director. I love this guy. I go into his office, and Tom is one of the nicest human beings on the planet. And I never saw him get angry until this moment. And I'm in this great mood because we're all laughing at it. We're having a great time. And I go into Tom's office, and I go, hey, Tom, do you have Tom McGinnis' phone number? Because we want to call him and get him on the air so we could just talk about what happened last night and what it was like to do a full basketball game over a phone. And Tom he always drank, he would have one bottle of Coca-Cola, like a couple times a week. And I remember he took a sip, he screwed the top back on, put it down, and he turned to me. And I remember the fury, the rage that was on this nice human being's face. I'll never forget it. And he said, why would I want to continue to highlight the fact that we couldn't do our job? And I went, goo! Okay, sorry. And ran away. So I run back over to Angelo, and I go, we're not getting that number. And he goes, why not? And he goes, I said, because Tom is kind of upset that we're talking about this. He goes, we'll talk about it in the meeting. So we didn't get Tom McGinnis on, but we go into the meeting, and Tom, and this is what made him such a great boss, is that he felt like he wasn't the type of boss that had to be right. He was the type of boss that could be wrong, and he operated as such. And he went into that meeting, and he just said to Angelo, he goes, why would we spend a day talking about our failure? And I'll never forget Angelo's response, and it's one of the greatest lessons I ever learned. The response was, if we literally go about our jobs for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, where our job is to call out teams for their failures, if we can't do that with us, then why are we here? If we make fun of teams and we can't make fun of ourselves, we can't acknowledge our own shortcomings, then we're all a bunch of damn hypocrites. And I saw Tom Lee go from this rage to, I can live with that. And if we're today on this show, if we're not going to be on for 20 minutes, guess what? I'm not going to do. I'm not going to hide from that. I'm not going to say that it is, oh yeah, we had, just whatever, some stupid lame excuse for why we didn't do it. I'm going to tell you, we couldn't connect. It's as simple as that. Like we couldn't connect with WIP in the Sixers game 12 years ago, 13 years ago, whatever it was. I couldn't connect with my producer. My producer couldn't push out the product. So here I am pushing buttons and all that stuff. So that's where I got you. That's where I got you today, folks. I'm going to be completely upfront and honest with you. You need a superstar for Ben Simmons. Jacob, I couldn't agree more. If you're trading away a 3-time All-Star, you better be getting somebody who's at least worth 3-time All-Star. And here's specifically what I'm looking for, and it's Dame Lillard. To be even more specific, I'll just name the name, Dame Lillard. But I need someone that can create their own shot. I need someone that's going to hit free throws late in the game. I need somebody that's going to be every bit of Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons defensively, I need his equal offensively. If that's what I'm getting rid of, I need somebody back that's going to be the complete opposite. Maybe with a little defense thrown in there, but I need someone who's going to hit foul shots. I need someone who's going to create jump shots. I need someone who's going to create their own shot from beyond the arc. That's what I need. I need the opposite of what Ben Simmons' extreme shortcomings are. I need someone to be extreme attribute. That's what I need. His extreme skill set from one to the other. And I think you're getting that in Dame Lillard. I don't see too many other people that you're getting that back. What else do we got here? Oh, the fiery hot from hers. T-Bro, it is too good. I thought I finished it. I thought they sent me a couple bags. I thought I finished it. And then yesterday, I don't know if it was my wife or somebody moved it. I was looking for paper towels in our top of our pantry. And I saw like a rolled up bag with just a little bit left in it. Oh, yeah. At least a handful. Oh, I crushed that. It was too damn good. Too damn good. Not going to lie, I'm surprised you remember any conversation with Brody. Thank you, April. I went back, and I will say, I figured I pulled it off pretty good. I pulled it off pretty good, if I do say so myself. I handled myself. And you know what? I did come up with a big fat lie, actually. I interviewed a guy. I was walking around. What the hell was I doing? I was when my wife and I got married, we were walking around. We had met up with some other people that were flying back because we got married overseas, and we were flying. We were in Rome, and I come out of a pizza shop, and we had been drinking all day. Me and my wife and a group of our friends. We had been drinking all day, and I was coming out of this pizza shop that we stopped at. And the guy at the pizza shop knew Philadelphia. It was funny. He goes, "Where are you guys from?" And we said, "Philadelphia." And at the time, Marco Bellinelli was playing for the Sixers. And the guy goes, Philadelphia, Rocky Balboa and Marco Bellinelli. I start laughing. Like, yeah. And then I go outside. and there's a man sitting at the table outside, and he said, "Hey, were you guys just talking about Philadelphia?" And I couldn't place this guy's accent. Turns out this guy was Swedish, and he goes, "I'm a big Philadelphia sports fan," and he lifts up his arm, and he's got a Phillies tattoo, he had a Sixers tattoo, and a Flyers tattoo. I believe he might have had an Eagles tattoo as well. And I'm hammered. And I just remember this is great content, and I got the interview. Maybe I'll show you that interview one day. I don't think you could tell that I was hammered in that interview. Broads, definitely a little buzzed. Does Farzy have a friend every day who gets engaged? No, I've been talking about the same two people for the last, 3 weeks. That's an honest statement. That wasn't sarcasm, just to be clear. I love Alex Singleton. Who doesn't love Alex Singleton? I'm with you 1,000%. Who else do we have here? Larry's checking in. Larry Green, just laughing. Been somewhat happy myself with the situation for the last 8 years. Marriage is fun. Let's see what we got here. Farzy stacking this. Thank you, Don Vito. Appreciate it. Yeah, we had about 15, 20 new subscribers yesterday, so much appreciated. Maybe I'll do one show hammered off my balls every day. Maybe every week. Just to be completely hammered. And there you go. What do we have here? Pete. Hi, Pete. Chris, what's going on? April. Cody. Hannah's laughing. Wait, the T-shirt is up in the Farzy Twitter show, April? Oh, really? Yeah, buy a T-shirt. Why not? Treat yourself. Holidays are just around the corner. They'll sneak up on you. Do you take Mark to be your lawfully wedded husband? Miss Koozie. What else we got here? I think that just about does it. Wait, so boycott McGinnis? Absolutely don't you dare boycott. Tom McGinnis. What else we got here? I think that about wraps it up. That about covers it right there. But I'll just end on this one. Hammered Farzy equals great time Farzy. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. Thanks to everyone that commented there on our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Main and steakandmain.com. Always great interacting with you guys as per usual. Let's jump into our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Here's what I got for you, Sky Motorcars. So last night, I want to make sure I got this right. Last night, if you didn't watch the basketball game, it was incredible. Giannis had a dunk at about blocked a dunk from DeAndre Ayton. That was incredible. A lot of people are comparing it to LeBron James's block of Andre Iguodala, where he ran up behind Andre and blocked the shot. It was incredible. Now, I still think LeBron's is 1,000 times better, but that's what a lot of people jump to, including Andre Iguodala, who took to Twitter to say that basically that block reminded me of something. Hey, at King James. So Iggy was having fun with at his own expense last night. But last night, as I told you, the Suns lost to the Bucks. It's an even Steven series, 2 games apiece, heading into Game 5 in Phoenix, and the Bucks won both games at home. But here's what you got. Last night, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 26 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, had himself a night. Not a 40-point night, but still a night nonetheless. Chris Middleton is the guy that came up huge for the Bucks in their Game 4 win, 40 points, 6 rebounds in the victory. But wouldn't you know it? I didn't even realize this, but the 2 games at home, Giannis Antetokounmpo actually left the game early in the first quarter, and I didn't know why he left. So a reporter who also didn't know why he left asked the question, "Hey, Giannis, why'd you leave?" Here's Giannis's answer.
Giannis, this was the second game in a row you went out early in the first quarter. I'm just curious what was going on there.
I wanted to, how you guys say it politely, I wanted to take a tinkle. A tinkle? Yeah. I wanted to take a tinkle, it came back. Yeah. That's it. That's polite, right? Tinkle is polite, yeah. Both games. I wanted to take a tinkle to win back.
Greek Freak had to take a tinkle. I don't even think I say tinkle to my near 2-year-old, as a matter of fact. But I'm always curious for people with English was a second language, whatever it might be, or maybe a third language, whatever it is for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I always wonder for people when they learn those words that aren't commonplace, those words that aren't in the English to Greek dictionary or Greek to English dictionary or whatever it might be about when those words first. I'm sorry. What do you say? What do you call that? Huh? And yeah, that was him. Apparently, he's a tinkle guy. That's what you say politely. So that was game. I think I just might use that for a lot on this show from this point on. Of Giannis just saying I got to take a tinkle. So that's what you got. But game 5. Game 5 is coming up. Not tomorrow. But Saturday. Or excuse me. Saturday. Saturday in Phoenix. So we'll see what plays out there. I feel like this series is going to go 6 games at least. So I think you're at least going to be playing back in Milwaukee. That's how I see this shaping up. But early goings right now for Game 5. The Suns are a 4-point favorite going into last night. There was one particular play that I can't play because it's play-by-play, and if I take it, the video if I play it, it'll get taken down on video. There was one play in the game towards the end, maybe about 3 minutes left in the game. Drew Holiday has a fast break, and Devin Booker has 5 fouls on him, runs up behind Drew Holiday, and wraps his right arm around him, and then reaches his left arm over top to block Drew Holiday's layup. It was, in essence, a tackle. There was one foul that happened when they collided, when Devin Booker jumped up and hit, when I was a ref, with the body. Devin Booker with the body, right? Got him with the body, and then got him with basically it's like pass interference where they say you can't put your arm around the guy and turn him. It's exactly what Devin Booker did in this scenario. And then he had a block over the top, but still got part of Drew Holiday's arm. Anyway, it was an epic foul 3 times over. No foul was called on the play. Devin Booker, who went off in last night's game for 40-plus points in the loss, unfortunately, for the Suns, would have committed a 6th foul, and pretty much all hope would have been lost for the Suns in that regard. Bucks still win, so it doesn't come back to haunt them, fortunately, for the referee. But just another example of the atrocious officiating in the NBA. It's been bad for a long time. I'm never saying I can't remember a time where it was ever good, but specifically, the way the game is called now is just an embarrassment. And I don't know what you do to fix it. I've talked about the interview we did a while back with Adam Lefko, who had a great example of, or a great reason why it might be so bad this year. That referees, who obviously aren't compensated nearly as well as players are going through a very similar travel schedule. Now, in the finals, that can't be an excuse, but if it's towards the end of the season, maybe they're just getting tired and cranky, basically. But that's the way it played out again last night. Just another awful experience for everything going on in the NBA with all that jazz and whatnot. That right there is our Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to mention this to this guy. Richard Sherman, a couple of crazy things going on in the NFL. Richard Sherman, who's a free agent, he actually does that podcast that I referenced with Chris Collinsworth earlier in the show. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. He was booked. They traced a car that went back to his name. There's crazy stories out there on TMZ. I don't know what to believe at this point, but I'm just saying follow those stories. I don't want to put out anything that's false, but if you want to look up some of this stuff, it's insane. There's stories out there. A lot of them, some conflicting reports. It might not be him. It is him, whatever. But a lot of crazy stuff surrounding Richard Sherman right now. So I would check that out as soon as possible. Mike Casey's telling me right now he did a podcast with Collinsworth. Yeah, that could be the more accurate way to say it. So it's pretty wild. So check that stuff out. And also, Dwayne Haskins, former quarterback of the Washington football team, is in Pittsburgh right now. His wife is in some trouble. This is the second time I've seen a story like this in the NFL, where a wife is being accused of domestic violence towards their football-playing husband. I believe there was a member of the Denver Broncos who called the cops on his wife because his wife was physically abusing him. If you're a player, that's I know they always talk about men being assaulted by women and how men don't report it because it's not manly enough. If you're an NFL player, if you're anybody in the public eye, you got to report that crap immediately. I mean, everybody should do it anyway, regardless. But football players, athletes, anybody in the public eye, that stuff turns around quick, man. You got to make that phone call. Just as women are pushing for their rights as they should, men have to step up to the plate and not be afraid to tell a story that might be embarrassing to them. It all comes back to the mental health, and this is also physical health. If you're getting the crap beat out of you by anybody, you need to put that out there. You need to protect yourself, especially those people in the public eye who can be turned around on you in a heartbeat. So I'll continue to follow that story as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. More importantly, thanks for sticking with us for the first 15, 20 minutes where we weren't on the air. We were trying to sort everything out. It is much appreciated. My thanks to Alex Singleton for joining us on the show today. We'll be putting his stuff out, of course, across all our social media platforms later in the day. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thanks for bearing with me as I produce the show today. Much appreciated. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning. And guess what we're going to have? We're going to have a weather girl. We're going to have a weather girl. That's happening tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow. Because why? Because I promised this week. And tomorrow's the last day of the week. So tomorrow, you're going to have a weather girl. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Our pleasure as always. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Download the podcast as well, wherever you get your podcasts. Right there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. I'm Marc Farzetta here at the Steven Singer Studios. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day.